What's up everybody, it's Grant here and welcome back to the channel, your local real estate YouTube guide down in the Tampa Bay area. And today we're going to be talking about how much it actually costs to buy a home. Not all the fluff, not all the, you can buy a home, $0 down, things like that. We're going to talk about how much the average American is spending when they're purchasing a home. Stay tuned. And we're going to break it up into two parts. The first section is going to be all the fixed costs that come with every single home that you're buying most likely. And then next is going to be the down payment, and which will kind of be like a variable cost. Your first cost when you're buying a home is going to be your inspection, right? And that can vary in price, but on average, it's going to be about $300. Right? And that's going to include your basic home inspection as well as your 4-point home inspection. It may be extra if you're getting things like termite inspection done, or maybe you want the roof or AC inspected, but on average we just have our basic inspection as well as the 4-point inspection, and that costs about $300 usually. Next is your appraisal. Usually it costs about $500. It's about the same price I see everywhere else. Every appraisal that I've gotten has been around that price. Maybe they'll give you a deal if you use them constantly at $400, but I usually see $500 is how much the appraisal is. And then thirdly is going to be all of your closing costs, and that's definitely the most confusing one out of everything. That's the part that everybody doesn't understand. Everybody knows the down payment, the inspection, the appraisal, but the last thing and they don't understand and don't know, so the last day usually is the closing cost. But I can tell you, on average, you're going to be paying roughly anywhere from 3 to 5% of the home's purchase price towards closing. So let's break down in a little bit more detail of what the closing costs actually pay for. So the closing costs are going to definitely depend on where you're living throughout the United States, because it's also going to be based off your taxes as well as your insurance premiums. You could live maybe at the top of Florida and your taxes and insurance for the year could be $10,000 to $20,000, while you could live at the bottom of Florida and it could be maybe just a few thousand. That's just a basic example, but that's true depending on what your location is. And just a reminder, if you do have an agent that's helping you, right, or you can even do this yourself, it's always best to negotiate that the seller pay for some of your closing costs. So if you have, for example, an agent like myself, or you understand what's going on, getting your closing costs paid by the seller is a huge win, right? Because you're putting all the money up front out of your pocket. So potentially you would be willing to pay a little bit extra because you're financing the loan, right, for them to give you a little bit extra in closing costs. So that's what I call like a win-win situation, right? So your closing fees are going to be roughly anywhere from 3 to 5% of what your purchase price is, and that's going to usually include about a year's advance in your insurance premium. So whatever your insurance is for the year, you're most likely going to put it up front, right? And then as well as your taxes, sometimes you will need to put up to 6 months up front into your taxes. And what that does, that goes into your escrow. So let me explain a little bit more about what an escrow is. So escrow simply works like this. You'll give them the money up front, usually within 5 days of the offer and agreement signed. So you'll give them that money up front, and then that money will be held by the title company, which will be your escrow, and then that money will just be sitting there until you finally close, and all that money will do is go towards your actual payments. Let's say you put $10,000 in escrow, and then at the closing table, you need $20,000 to close. You're only going to need another $10,000 out of your pocket. As well as something you may not know is that a lot of new construction companies, if you're buying a new build, if you use their lender, right? Or potentially they have deals going on, they can pay partial or almost sometimes all of your closing costs. So one of the benefits of a new build is that they have that discretion sometimes. So if you go in and your agent knows the local market and which new builds are doing that, you could potentially get into a new construction home with no closing costs at all. So now that we understand closing costs a little bit more and exactly what all the fixed costs would be, the last part is going to be the down payment. And that is a variable cost, as in it could range from anywhere from 0% to 20%, obviously, or full price cash offer, right? So the basics, let's start from the lowest amount to the highest amount in percentage. The first would be a 0% down payment through a VA loan, right? So if you qualify, if your military service, things of that nature, then you can qualify potentially for a VA loan and get the home for 0% down, which would be awesome, especially if you bought a new build and they paid for most of your closing costs, right? Next is going to be a FHA, or Federal Housing Administration loan. And from there, you could potentially qualify for a 3.5% down payment, which is the lowest other than the 0% down payment that you can possibly get. And there are price limits, so if you look up FHA.com or you look it up online, you can find your specific area, you can find your qualifications, see what you need to qualify for, as well as what the price limits are in each county and area that you live in. So potentially FHA might only service up to X amount of dollars per X amount of people, things like that. Next is the conventional loans, which that is most likely the most common that I see. And those are the loans where the individuals are putting anywhere from 5% to 20% down. Those are the most common loans I see, and that's just your generic loan. There's no special gifts, there's no special low down payment prices. It's anywhere from 5 to 20% on average, or maybe sometimes even more. And that's just a regular loan that you get from any different mortgage company in that different range. And you also have to remember, when putting 20% down, 20% or more on average, you're usually going to be able to get rid of your PMI, which is your private mortgage insurance, which ranges anywhere from 0.5 to 1% of the home purchase price per year until you get to that 20% of equity mark. So something to definitely remember. Then lastly is all the down payment assistant loans. I know where I'm at in Florida, they provide a Pasco, Pinellas County down payment assistance program loan, right, in which they may help you up to $10,000 to $15,000 towards your down payment, adding it onto the loan. So different loan programs like that with down payment assistance are also key factors, and that's going to help you figure out how much you're actually going to end up paying all in all. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope that helped. That was a very basic, generic overall look at what the cost of a home will be. You can always look online at different calculators. You can always reach out to me and I can help you out a little bit more. But that's it for the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.